Hello everyone and welcome back to the 3T Path channel. My name is Giridhari. And today I want to give you 5 spiritual laws to help in these times of money problems. You know, we're having money all over the world. Inflation is going up, food shortage. It's a difficult time for the world, and we need tools. We need spiritual tools to deal with this crisis so we can get through it with less suffering. So I want to give you 5 truths which are good for everything, everlasting truths of spiritual knowledge, but which can especially help you during these times of money problems. The first one is be in the here and now. Now, what I mean by that is, with money problems, our minds, of course, just spin around full speed in anxiety, in preoccupation. We're preoccupied with what's going to happen in the future. We might lose our job. We might not be able to pay the rent. We might have to, downgrade where we live or stop doing something we're used to doing because we can't afford it anymore. So we preoccupy ourselves a lot, and thus we suffer a lot in anxiety, in fear, because our minds are in the future. So more than ever, we have to train our minds, we have to learn to bring our minds back to the here and now. Of course, a spinning mind is very important in the sense of solving problems. That's why we have, it's called the default neural network, where your mind is spinning around. It's great because it spins around looking for solutions. So sure, great, you're worried about money, you think you're not going to be able to make it. Sure, you should have your mind spinning around in the sense of finding solutions, of coming up with a plan. So yes, you have to plan it out, like this is a new situation, this is what's happening, prices are like this now, my income is like this, so I have to make adjustments. So yes, sure, very important to have your mind spin around and look for a plan. So you should sit down, purposely and consciously do that. Be with your mind. Don't fight your mind with that. Be with it. Sit down, plan, research, find out what you can do. How can I make more money? How can I spend less money so you can balance out your budget again? That's very important. But do that consciously, in a set time, in the right way, with a proper plan, with the purpose of coming up with a solution. Once you have the best solution you can come up with, then it's time to stop with the preoccupation. Your mind has to come back to the here and now, and you have to just live each step of your plan, of your day, of your life. Just come back, realign yourself with life, and live your life out today, right now, in this moment, without your mind freaking you out in anxiety with preoccupation. So very important. This is valid. Again, these are valid truths for our whole lives, but especially now, learn to contain your anxiety by bringing your mind to your enlightened action in the here and now. Second point, we often talk about in Bhagavad Gita, I talk about here a lot in this channel, the importance of living your Dharma, which means living your essence, being who you are, strengthening your characteristics which make you be you. So living your Dharma is essential, again, always, but now more than ever. What happens when you have a situation of the economic crisis, of money problems all over the world? What happens is you need more productivity. You have to stand up. You have to be better than the rest. So in this situation, you have to be doing your Dharma because that is your nature. So more than ever, you should try to find out what is your inclination, what we call in my work, I call the vocational Dharma. What is your vocational Dharma? Why? Because you'll have an advantage, you'll have an edge when you're living out your Dharma and not somebody else's Dharma. In your work, maybe you're living your Dharma, but in a given situation, in a given company, there are people there who are living their Dharma And so it's easier for them to do what they're doing because it's natural to them. It's what they want to do. And if you're in that situation where it's not natural for you, you'll be swimming against the current. You'll be at a disadvantage to those who are doing what is natural to them. So more than ever, in your planning, figure out how you can realign your life, look for a job, work in an area that is true to your nature, that enhances your strengths, that will flow with you so you have a natural advantage at it. 3, more than ever, we should try to cultivate the wise and ancient instruction of simple living, high thinking. What that means is we have to understand that the simpler you can keep your life, the easier things are. You don't need things. We accumulate too many things, and things bring us very little pleasure. What brings us pleasure is our state of mind. High consciousness, high thinking means you're just naturally happy. Look at this situation. I'm here in a forest, and it's just so wonderful here, and the birds are chirping, and there's a breeze, and the trees are beautiful, a wonderful smell of forest, and all these things are free. It's the experience, it's the pleasure of doing what I'm doing right now. For example, I'm doing something that I love doing, which is, trying to share yoga knowledge. So doing something you love, being in nature, these things are just naturally what make you happy. You make yourself happy by elevating your consciousness. So more than ever, you have to plan your life so that you can just elevate your consciousness, be happy just for the sake of being happy, because life can be wonderful. And not thinking of buying things, complicating your life. Try to keep things simple. Less is more. Minimalism, just a different lifestyle like that. Maybe you don't have to make that trip, traveling less, good for the environment, it's easier, it's cheap. Just cultivate ways to elevate your consciousness and also simplify your life as much as you can, because there is beauty in simplicity. There is peace in keeping things simple. 4, when all else is done, you're doing your best, you're simplified, you've cut what you could cut, and you're still having a hard time. Well, there is also an eternal truth that life is hard. Human life is not meant to be fun. All the spiritual traditions will tell you that, all the religions. Human life is not a place for just having a great time. It's very interesting in the Vedas, where yoga comes from, in the Vedic tradition. It explains that this whole giant universe is full of civilizations. So there are different civilizations all over the universe. And of all of them, the hardest one is the human life. It's the hardest incarnation. The other ones have much higher levels of pleasure. Thousands of times higher than the human level, they explain. 10,000 times, they say. But the human life is the toughest one. And yet, it is the most desired, because it's in the human life where you can attain spiritual liberation. Because in other life, these other civilizations, there's so much joy, it's so easy, life is so pleasurable, that people just don't get around to thinking about spirituality. And you see that here on earth as well. Well, they're very rich, the people who have it all, very hard for them to be interested in spirituality. Jesus famously said, it's easier to have a camel go through the eye of a needle than a rich man to enter heaven, because the guy's like, if you're rich, you're like, this is great. What do I care about liberation? Liberation from what? This is I'm having a great time. So take these hardships in life as like, okay, wake up call, human life, it's not meant for having fun. I'm here to become enlightened. This life should be a life where you have enough good sense. You don't need to suffer, but suffering does help to snap you out of it. We call Maya, in the Vedic tradition it's called Maya, illusion. Snap out of Maya, snap out of illusion. You're actually an eternal soul, Krishna teaches in Bhagavad Gita. You're supposed to use this human life to become free of samsara, become free of reincarnation. So a little bothersome, a little troubles in life help you keep yourself sober and understand that you really should be using this human life to seek the solution to all your problems by going back home, back to Godhead. So life is supposed to be a little hard. And finally, 5, what happens when we're having a hard time? What happens, especially money problems? We tend to be hard on ourselves. We tend to add to the suffering, the practical suffering of having to readjust your lifestyle, or we add to that the weight of shame, of low self-esteem. We make ourselves suffer, thinking ourselves inferior, worse than others who aren't having money problems. So we add a gigantic and horrible weight of emotional strain to the already practically, the difficult aspects of just having to readjust life materially. So you have to put that aside. You have to recognize these negative emotions which will rise, which, again, of shame, of low self-esteem, embarrassment. You have to identify those and put those aside, understanding that this is just the law of karma and action. This is, a person with more money isn't better than you. That's capitalism. That's not like spiritualism. In capitalism, the more money, the better you are. But that's not true. Spirituality means everyone's the same. We're just going through different, like some life forms here, they're in tree form, and I'm in a human form, and there's some life forms here, some souls in bird form. But I'm not better than any of them, and they're not better than me. It's just, my karma now, this is it, and this is their karma. And just like that in human life, somebody's karmas have this much money and these economic troubles, and that person, that, and we all just have our own thing going on because of our past karma. So eliminate all these things and understand this simple last truth. All that anyone can ask of you is that you do your best. That's all God wants from you, is just you take your situation and you do your best. And out of you comes enlightened action, high consciousness. That's all life's about. It doesn't matter the result. So within your mind, change the focus from result. Oh, I have this car, I have this house, I have this income. Change from that to effort. Result is not ours. Krishna says you don't have the right to the results because it's not ours. The results, there's too many factors involved in results. Other living beings, karma, all these things. Of course, practically speaking, cultural elements, social elements, historic. Too many things going on in the results. Effort is mine. So Krishna says, you have the right to the work, but not the result. So we can do our work, we can do our best. That's yours. And that's what you should focus on. Am I doing my best? Is my action the best of me, which we call this dharmic enlightened action? Is it the best of me? Am I being a good person? Am I using my life to elevate my consciousness, to self-realize, to become, to know myself, to know God? If you're doing that, it's perfect. You get 100. That's the best thing. You're doing the best. It's wonderful. You've won. You actually won, not the person who might have more money than you now, or a better car, or a bigger house. No, it's whoever's doing that is winning. And whoever's not doing that is wasting their life. And it's just the time will come when they're just, the wheels will turn. So it's called samsara, the wheel. You're on top now, you're going to be at the bottom. You're at the bottom, you're going to be on top. But we don't want to be in the wheel at all. We want to transcend the wheel and go back home, back to Godhead. So let me know if these eternal spiritual laws help you deal with these tough times. And if there's anything more I can do for you, please always leave your comment below. I love hearing from you. And don't forget to like and subscribe. It really helps such a small channel as this. Thank you very much. Have a rest of your day with lots of love and lots of peace.